Hello and good morning and welcome from a very, very cold Minsk Saturday morning. It's extremely cold. Winter has finally arrived. Zima przyszła. So I'm going to this is a special video today, and myself and Ihar. Hello Ihar. Back by popular demand, and we're going to take you guys on a tour around Jewish Minsk. It's hard to believe one time Minsk had a very, very substantial population, Jewish population, until of course the Nazi invasion and the Holocaust. So today guys, join me and Ihar on a tour. Okay Jewish guys, here we are. Whereabouts are we, Ihar? Valardaskaha street?
Yes, this is Valardaskaha Ulitsa and street, and here we have a former building of the Choral Synagogue. It was built at the beginning of the 20th century, and the example was taken from Hungary, from Budapest, and well, it was one of the main synagogues. I will show you once again pictures, and you will see how it looked like at the beginning of the 20th century and in the end of the Soviet period, say. This is a picture. Minsk Choralная Synagoga. It's written here, and it was very, very popular place for local Jewish population in Minsk, and of course
it stood right here. Yes, where that building is now.
Here, and of course during the Soviet period, it couldn't be any synagogue, and Soviets made here a big cinema called Kultura, and here we have picture from 1930s, beginning of 1930s, with a red flag, of course, a red banner, and here they put also a Soviet coat of arms. I'll show you another picture. And well, of course, it was one of the main places in Minsk for local Jews, for local people before.
So this was the main cultural center, the meeting center of
before
Jews.
Soviet period. During the Soviet period, this place was very popular, not only the cinema, but also was very popular because a lot of people very famous in Soviet Union came here and have lectures or writing the declamation of their poems. For example, Mayakovsky was here, and he said a lot of poems here during the 1920s, and during the 1930s it was a big cinema, different clubs, Soviet clubs, of course, and well, during the beginning of the Second World War, in June 1941, here this part of Minsk was unfortunately destroyed by German Luftwaffe, and this building, unfortunately, also the front of this building was destroyed.
And so they put that's why they put a Greco-Roman facade in front of the building.
It's typical Stalin Empire style, and after the Second World War it was rebuilt and made as a Russian theater. Now it's National Dramatic Theater. Also, I should mention very important building here. This
that leads out to Independence
Orange building. In this building, in the 1918, on March 1918, was proclaimed independence of Belarusian People Republic. On the 25th of March 1918. It is original buildings from the beginning of the 20th century, and here balconies from which Belarusian leaders proclaimed independence.
So these are a few of the remaining original 1941 buildings
from the beginning of the 20th century. Unfortunately, a lot of buildings here were destroyed, and now guys, you will see, and girls of course, you will see original walls of the Choral Synagogue will cross the street.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so now we're going to cross the street here, and now we're going to see the original walls. Okay, this is going to be very, very interesting, and as we can see here, it is this is the National Academic Dramatical Theatre, Maxim Gorky. Okay, and this here used to be the synagogue.
This is typical style of Stalin Empire, with hammer and sickle, of course, with the Soviet symbols, with the columns. After the Second World War, here on the prospect of Independence and here in these parts of Minsk were built a lot of such marvelous and imperial buildings. And here we have original walls.
Here we are.
Synagogue.
Okay, this is actually quite beautiful. So this was actually the facade on in front of the synagogue, and you can actually see the original part of the facade here to the side of the National Dramatic Theatre. Okay, and just to
Here we
remind
have
us,
one more building, one more picture from the 1930s. Sorry.
Okay.
And here you have coat of arms of Soviet Belarus.
Okay.
In front, but unfortunately this part was destroyed during the Second World War by Nazis. And here we have very interesting thing. Before the Second World War, Minsk was called Minsk. It's a Belarusian title, and here on above we have notice in Yiddish in Jewish language.
Interesting. Very. So welcome back. We are now in the city centre near Rundfunk station, and back to Igor again. We are on the boundary of the old Jewish ghetto.
Yes, we are already on the territory of two ghettos. Here we have the territory of former ghetto, but this was ghetto for Jewish people from Minsk, from local Jews. But above us is a ghetto where lived Jewish people from Europe, so-called Bremen Jews. Jews from Germany, Jews from Austria and other countries. They came here after Nazis killed here a lot of local Jews, and this was just like a small border between two ghettos. We'll come back there and you will show some interesting places, but now we are going to the place where during the German occupation was so-called Zonder Ghetto, or ghetto for Bremen, for Jews from Bremen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay guys, here we are, we're right next to another ghetto. This was the ghetto for German and other European Jews that ended up here in Minsk. Igor.
Yes, this is the original house which we have from this period of interwar period where lived the Jews, well, in the interwar period and during the German occupation time. And this is original house. Unfortunately, a lot of houses were destroyed here. I will show you guys very interesting things. This is original badge, the only badge of the interwar Belarus. It was badge or order of the label red flag. And here we have notice in also Yiddish, in Jewish language. And here we have a picture of the Jewish guy, which was which received this order. This is Gorelik, Chaim Gorelik, who was ordered who received this order during the interwar period, and this is a real typical representative of this Jewish population.
What was his job, by the way?
Well, I don't know exactly, but he worked in the fabric, and well, it was actively stроитель. He was just a man who built a big fabric, big factory called October.
Okay.
And while we are here, it's not only ghetto here, not only Zonder Ghetto, but also we have remainings of the old pre-war Jewish cemetery here, and two mass graves here where Nazis killed a lot of local Jews and a lot of German Jews. Let's go.
Okay, let's go to this mass grave here. So it's just across the road here. Over to the old Jewish cemetery. And Ihar, how many Jews were murdered here in Minsk by the Nazis?
Well, thousands. It's difficult, to say the correct number, but a lot of people, local people, were killed by Nazis. A lot of local Jews, a lot of Jews which came here, but this is not the only place. Also, we have Trostinyets camp, where a lot of local Jews were killed by Nazis. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, and it's really, really bad tragedy. Here we have a place where was an old Jewish cemetery. Now it's just a small park, but unfortunately this cemetery was destroyed, not only by Nazis but by Soviets. We are not far from the main center. You've already seen Independence Square, and there we have Independence Square. Now we have new buildings here, and here we have remains of the old Jewish cemetery, just stones from this cemetery, but it's not only Jewish graves.
So we have some, obviously written in German, I think.
Germany, yes.
German, yeah.
German.
Mhm.
Here we have in Jewish language, in Jewish
Yeah.
language also.
Yeah. In Hebrew or Yiddish?
Yes, Yiddish perhaps, because
Yeah.
it was very, very popular in
Okay.
this period. But also I've seen something, here we have also
Yeah.
Leah Rabinovich in Russian language and also in Yiddish.
Mm-hmm.
1903. And close to this, it's a memorial for the Jewish people who were killed during the Nazi period.
Yeah.
So you can
Okay.
see here.
So we can see the main memorial for the Jews who were murdered by the Nazis. We have, yeah.
It was made by Germans, and here we have noticed that here was made 1,170 Jewish men, women, and children which were killed from the beginning of 1942. But you will see also an original grave which was made after the Second World War, already after the Second World War. I have to mention that during the German occupation there were different waves of killing of Jews, local Jews. In these terrible actions participated not only Germans but unfortunately local policemen. But I have to stress that a lot of local Belarusians helped to Jewish people to rescue from their ghettos. They just took small children, took women, and showed them the way for the rescue, for the forest, for example. Okay. And of course, after
also we have, like, for example, the famous Bielski brothers as well, the Jewish partisans.
Well, Bielskis, Bielskis, a lot of interesting stories, and the Bielskis, they are not from Minsk, they are from Western Belarus, and a lot of brothers fought against Nazis, but also, unfortunately, they fought against local population. But as for victims of the Jews, I have to mention that we are now in Minsk, but in every city of Belarus, either in Soviet Belarus or in Western Belarus, were small or big ghettos. Nazis made ghettos and unfortunately destroyed a lot of local Jews in these
Okay guys,
places.
welcome back to our tour of Jewish Minsk, and in particular the old Jewish ghetto of Minsk. Right now we are here at a very, very somber place, and Igor is now going to explain exactly.
Yes, we are now near the grave where buried some we can say 5,000 people, Jewish people, which were killed during the German Nazi occupation period. And here we have a monument which made by a very famous Belarusian architecture, Levin. And we have here just destroyed room because a lot of Jewish population were killed during the so-called pogrom, when local police or Nazis came to the ghetto territory and destroyed every people who lived in this ghetto, either young people, men, of course, women, and so on and so forth. That's why it was very, very crucial and terrible.
I see there we have a broken table and a broken chair, and of course we have some flowers on top of this. I have to say, this is very, very somber, and it really, really does strike home the intimacy of people's lives. This is some kitchen furniture, and yet it was completely destroyed and completely wiped out in a matter of moments.
Yeah, and it's interesting, here we have dates 1941, 1943, and it's important to understand that in 1943 we have already Trostyanets concentration camp, and in Trostyanets a lot of Jews were destroyed. It's very important to stress that a lot of European Jews believe that they come to Belarus, they will receive work, they will receive houses, and they were, well, not so happy, but they believe that they will live here on this territory of this country. And unfortunately, they have no idea that they received places of the already killed Belarusian Jews. And after that, of course, this ugly fate came to these European Jews. Also, European Jews were killed in Minsk or in Trostyanets.
Okay guys, we're back to the site of the Jewish ghetto for local Belarusian Jews who were herded in here in 1942, 41, 42 approximately. And it's hard to believe that here was the site of the original Jewish ghetto. If you just look across from me, from right here, this is the Belarus cinema, and over here is the entrance to Rundfunk metro station.
Yes, and there we have entrance so-called to the Zonder Ghetto, to this ghetto for foreign Jews.
This is where we just came from.
Yes, yes, we came from this old Jewish cemetery. And here we have a monument, and here we have noticed that here was something like 100,000 people in this ghetto. And it's hard to believe that in the pre-war period, the population of Minsk was something like 150,000 people. And here we have a lot of people. Of course, there were not only locals, but a lot of people who came, and a lot of these people unfortunately were killed not only here, but as it mentioned here on Massacre concentration camp. But I have to mention that this place was used before Second World War by NKVD to kill so-called enemies of states. That's why this place the Nazis used just on the old place of mass killing. And unfortunately this territory is rebuilt, and now we have no Jewish houses, but at the end of our video we will see original Jewish street of the pre-war Minsk, and we will see original houses. Unfortunately only one street we have in Minsk, very beautiful, with the former Jewish houses, and here we have a very good monument.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to believe, you know, I've passed by this place many times. It's hard to believe that right here we are in the center of Minsk's ghetto for the local Jews. It's hard to believe it. 75 years ago here, or just a bit more, still within living memory, this place held thousands and thousands of Jews crammed in here in 1941, 42, and to await their fate to different death camps. So here we are at a monument. We are here on the Miga, just about 100, 200 yards away from the Miga, and this is one of the sites here that I want to actually highlight to you. Igor.
Well, this is Zaslavskaya street. This is not far from the center of the city, and here we have original place where in March 1942 Nazis killed a lot of local Belarusian Jews. It was called Purim killing because it was a Jewish holiday, very big Jewish holiday, and they collect these people and they destroy it. Interesting that this place is original place, and we have original monument from the after-war period. It's the first monument which commemorated the tragedy of the local Jewish population during the Second World War in Minsk. After that, only new monuments were made in Belarus, or in Minsk and Belarusian capital. And here we have the line of the people who are going to this graveyard, to this Yama, so-called. You see this is the new houses here. I also have to mention that not only in Belarus were ghettos, also in Poland were a lot of ghettos, and in Warsaw in 1943 was a very big uprising in local ghetto. Here in Minsk were no uprisings, but there were people who fought against Nazis, Gevelev and other people. They made special units that were bringing weapons, they making leaflets anti-Nazis, but they haven't made any uprisings, and you have to understand that Nazis killed a lot of local Jews, and after that they started to kill a lot of German Jews on the territory of Minsk ghetto and Trostinets concentration camp.
Okay, so how many people were killed here on the day of the Purim murders? So many people were killed here in total, were murdered here?
We have to read there.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So we're now stepping down into the pit where I presume thousands of Jews, men, women and children were led, entire families were actually led in here into this pit here, and machine gunned and massacred by the Nazis. It's hard to believe, you know, in modern history, human history, the scale of organized industrial murder by a modern European state was Germany that actually did this. So here we are. This is the monument here that was unveiled a number of years ago. So you can just get a bit closer here. Yeah, so it was the 2nd of March 1942. The massacre of thousands of Jews, men, women and children, herded into here, into this pit here, and murdered. You know, it really does beg our belief how people could do this to, how one human being could do this to another human being. It's just absolutely shocking. Welcome back, guys. We are now in what was the Jewish district of Minsk, one of the districts of the Jewish people of Minsk here. Okay, and as you can see, this building here, one of the very, very few buildings left in the city centre that still has retained the old style 19th century architecture.
Yeah, now when I'm here on this Volhynia Street, every time I mention that I'm not in Minsk, I'm in Bobruisk, just like in Jewish city of Belarus, Jewish Odessa. So this is very typical. Building with a red brick home, red bricks, and very typical for the Jewish population in the 19th, 20th century. And we'll now cross the street, the Rakauskaja street, and it's really very beautiful. And well, some of the remains of the old houses we have here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very nice architecture here.
And here we have old buildings in which were old synagogues. Unfortunately, now we have no synagogues, but really very beautiful. You can imagine that in the 1930s, 1920s, here lived a lot of local Jews, also Belarusians, of course. And unfortunately, during the German occupation, here were Jewish ghetto, place where Nazis or local collaborators came and killed a lot of people.
So here was actually another part of the ghetto here. This is another small ghetto.
Yes. There we have a territory of old fabric, and it's unfortunately destroyed.
Yeah.
And there we have, unfortunately, already new houses of modern Nemiga. But even in 1960s, here was made a big Soviet film about Second World War, about German occupation. And there, where we have a big shopping center, there was an old houses, an old red brick or great brick houses.
Yeah, and I see that's the bar, the Rakowski Brovar.
Rakowski Brovar, yes, and maybe we can cross and you will see some houses.
Okay.
For example, house of synagogue and houses from 19th century, also red bricks. It's typical.
Yeah, so there are still parts of Minsk that are still kept its pre-war character, and it's great to see here, you know, because if you look at the history of Minsk, the vast majority of the city was completely destroyed.
And not only by Nazis during the German occupation, but also by Soviets after the Second World War. Unfortunately, these houses were in very bad situation. That's why they were destroyed and built, unfortunately, these ugly grey houses.
As we can see in front of us here.
Yes. Yeah. It's not Troitskaya suburb, it's just, Rakauskaja street here in the center. And here we have, for example, a very beautiful house. Now it's under construction. The roof is rebuilt, you see. And
okay, guys, the tour has come to an end. It has come to its conclusion. I hope you have enjoyed our tour of Jewish Minsk and also visited the Jewish ghettos here in Minsk. Now, if you want to go on such a tour like this, I'll hand you over to the very man himself, Mr.
Yes.
Ihar Melnikau.
I invite you. I'm a PhD historian. It's really very interesting. Our Minsk, our whole Belarus is very interesting. So I invite you come to Belarus, and in Polish, in English, in German, you will receive a very good, interesting tour and more facts, because thanks to Neil we have a very interesting history, but just half of my whole knowledge of the history of Belarus. So invite you, let's visit Belarus and let's see here in Belarus.